Hello, good evening. This is part 2 about the acorns that I have gathered with my children and also the wasp galls. Now, these are the acorns, and these are the acorn cups, and these themselves are what you call wasp galls. Now, apparently you can get different types of wasp galls, just like you can get different types of oak trees within the UK. So basically, what a wasp gall is, it is what is left over after a gall wasp lays its eggs on an oak tree, and a bit like a caterpillar, before it becomes a butterfly, they create what is like a protective casing in which the eggs of the wasp are laid into. And as the wasp grows and goes through the cycle from being an egg to a fully grown wasp, it lives in what is called a gall. And these can be found on oak trees. And in the winter, October months, before the winter, as the leaves are falling off the trees and the acorns are falling off the trees, these will actually fall off with them. And they will actually be attached to the acorns and the acorn cups. Sometimes they will even be built around an entire acorn themselves. And this will enable the wasp, as it is growing, to suck all of the nutrients out of the acorn and the tree in order to grow and then repopulate the species. Now, it is extremely labour intensive, but there are so many things that acorns and wasp galls can be used for once they are harvested. But unfortunately, like most things that require something such as time, energy, which a lot of people in today's society don't seem to have, things within nature that prior to the 21st century and how we can now get medicines that are readily available from your local pharmacist, from your local convenience store, off license, even on the internet. But if you are going to buy anything over the internet, just be careful, because it might not necessarily be what it says it's going to be. There's been a lot of issues where people have bought prescriptive drugs over the internet or on Facebook Market, for example, thinking they're buying one thing, and unfortunately they've got something completely different. This happens a lot on social media. It happens a lot online. It doesn't just happen with medicine. It can also happen with things like makeup, perfume. There will be people out there that will try and sell you a lemon when you're trying to buy an orange. So just be really, really vigilant and really careful and do your research. And what I have noticed recently a lot on social media is there are so many people out there now doing a lot more videos about homeopathy, as I would like to call it. Literally going back to nature, picking your own and making your own health products from nature itself. And again, a lot of the people on there, 9 times out of 10, the majority of them will have some form of qualification. And if they have, they will disclose that on their website or on their Facebook page or even on their YouTube account. They will always do what is called an active disclosure. I myself personally don't do those, but I will always say, if in doubt, research, research, research. And one of the main things that, again, that a lot of people have done videos about recently have been mushrooms. It has been things like elderberries, things that are edible, like parts of the yew tree, which personally I wouldn't go anywhere near because it is one of the most toxic trees in the United Kingdom, if not in the world. There are other, obviously, trees that are toxic, but in the UK, yew trees are renowned for their toxicity, but then they're also renowned for being used in pharmaceutical drugs to treat things like cancer, which I don't know which pharmaceutical company used it, but when I used to work at Arbury Estate in Nuneaton, I would cut the yew hedge every year, and somebody would come along, collect the cuttings, and they would go off to a pharmaceutical company somewhere, and the cuttings from the yew trees and hedgerow from Arbury Estate would then be used in medicine for cancer treatment. That is all I know about that. I don't know any more about it. I couldn't tell you who they were or the company or nothing. But again, it's don't just go out and start foraging if you have not got a clue what you're doing. Mushrooms, as you know, can be extremely deadly and toxic. Sometimes you may mistaken a toadstool for a mushroom. So again, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. And another thing that people have done videos on recently have been elderberries, blackberries, sloes, and then things like rosehip, rowan, which comes from the ash tree, and hawthorn berries. And again, if you do not know what you are doing, please, please, please do not pick these items in the wild. And the other concern, obviously, is when you are picking and foraging these things is where do you pick and forage them from? Please do your research. You cannot go onto private land. It has to be something that is on a public right-of-way. And with me, I'm quite lucky because I live so close to a public right-of-way where all of these things are abundant every year. And if I had the time and energy to pick them, I could. Until the local Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council decided to come along with a hedge trimmer and then cut everything back, killing everything, not just the plants, but unfortunately sometimes even the wildlife. But that's what they do, unfortunately. At this time of the year, it is renowned for councils to do hedge cutting before the winter months set in. So getting back to these acorns and wasp galls, I shall be doing something with both of these, but again, it's extremely labour intensive, just like anything that you might look at foraging and doing something with. But it's a fun activity to do with your children. But don't do what a lot of people do. Don't pick them and put them in a bag and then forget where they are and then not find them for a couple of days and then wonder why there's a horrid smell in the house or you've got flies in the house, like fruit flies, for example. These things will sweat in plastic, just like anything in plastic. They are living, they need to breathe. If you are going to collect them and store them, again, do your research on this. Personally, I would advise using brown paper bags to keep anything that you have foraged, unless you have dried it out or have researched how to preserve them, whether that's via putting them in the freezer, using a dehumidifier, or cooking them to sterilize them, or blanching them. There are so many different ways of preserving things that you pick from nature, but again, The only thing I can keep saying in this video, in any video that I put online, is if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. And if you don't know what it is, don't pick it. So again, these are acorns, these are wasp galls, and I shall do another video to explain what we will be doing with them over the next couple of days. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay well. And if you don't have anything positive to say, please don't say anything at all. Anything abusive or offensive to myself or anyone else will be removed. Thank you and have a lovely evening.